All right, welcome everyone. My name is Duffie, and in this tutorial, I'm going to introduce Microsoft Word. This is not intended to be a structured or formal introduction to Microsoft Word. I think that there are probably good tutorials out there that will take you through step by step through beginning and advanced formatting and editing techniques. This is intended to be more of a sort of conversational, casual, informal discussion of Microsoft Word for folks that maybe haven't used Microsoft Word specifically or maybe are even new to word processing. So assuming that you have access to, and access is probably not the right word to use, but find that they have Microsoft Word available, maybe through work or at home or at the computer lab or through the RDS system at the college. You'll find yourself with the blank screen here and maybe wondering, well, what are some of the basic techniques and skills that I should know? So I really believe in sort of an experimentation, try it approach to learning, which means that I would recommend starting with just some, you know, I call it gibberish, just typing words and text and seeing what happens as you go. One thing I would notice if I just want to type something, this is a test of the emergency. If I misspell emergency, notice it corrected it for me. Emergency broadcasting system. This is only a test. Try the backspace key, which is up at the top, up by the plus symbol, and notice that we can backspace. The other thing is you can use the arrow key, and I can move to a spot and backspace over something, and I can type and insert text. And I tell my face-to-face students that the backspace and the space bar are probably the two most powerful editing features really in a word processor, in my opinion, because even if you have multiple, and I'm just going to type some gibberish here, even if I have multiple lines of text here, um, I can use the enter key to push text down. I can use the backspace to pull text back. So those keys, the enter key and the backspace key together, can allow me to do quite a bit of work here. I'm going to highlight some text here and delete it so we can get back to our basics here. All right, so this is a text of the emergency broadcasting system. I can adjust the relative size on the screen with the key slider down here in the bottom right corner. That's kind of handy to be able to do. This is only a test. The next most important thing, in my opinion, in terms of editing is being able to select text. If you can select text, then it's very easy to quickly be able to do style, size, font, even color changes within your document. And so being able to select text, I think can give you a sense of, empowerment and facility with the word processing program. So let's look at how that works. I recommend trying to select text first just using the arrow keys. So I'm going to move to a spot using the arrows, the arrow keys on the keyboard. And then if I hold the shift key, I'm going to hold the shift key down and then select text. I can actually select text by holding the shift key down and then using the arrow key to select text. And I can actually do that selecting text across and also down. If I hold control and shift, I can actually select words at a time. So if I hold control and shift, I can highlight words across like that. But I think just being able to hold a shift and select some text is probably all you need to remember as far as selecting text. Once we've selected the text, then I can do bold, italics, underline. You can see those keys right up here. There are, of course, also keyboard shortcuts to doing this, like Control U, Control I, Control B. I'm partial to using the tool, the little tool bar at the top. So if I wanted to say underline this, I'd click U. That toggles that. If I click I, it'll italicize it. If I click B, it'll bold it. If I accidentally hit delete, or even the space bar, which would then replace the selected text with a space. I'm going to hit the delete key. Oops! I can get it back by going up to the undo button up here at the top. So this is one of the other keys that you will definitely want to remember. If I click that undo key right up here in the top left, it'll bring back the previous change that was made. And you can actually undo and go back several steps, or redo, which is the arrow going the other way, to get back to a particular spot, to roll back or forward to a particular spot. Okay, so I've selected some text. Let's select some other text here. Again, remember Shift and the arrow keys, or you can use the mouse to select the text, drag with the left button down and select text that way. I can change the font, and it's what you see is what you get. So as I actually change here, I can see the change affected. And I could also change the size, and again you can see it changing as we go. If you don't see the size that you want, you can actually go in, say I wanted to have 30, now it's 36, but I could come up here and change this to 30 and type 30 in there, and I could get it to the size that I want. Alright, this is a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is only a test. If I wanted to change the color of a text element, I could select the text that I want to change the color of it, and then here where you see the A, I can just select and choose a color, a standard color, or I can go to more colors and then choose a color from that palette. Alright, so that looks good. Let's use our basic editing technique, which is the enter key, to make some space. And then I'm going to come back up here. Let's say I want to put in a title. I'm going to change my font to something reasonable like 14 and maybe Calibri font. And I'm going to say information processing system. Notice it kind of remembered that old font. I could select this and change it back to black. If I wanted to center this, I would just make sure I'm on anywhere on this line, and then I would select center right up here where you see paragraph. And then maybe I can go left alignment. Maybe I want to put input in, and I have a little bit of text that I'm going to paste in that I had in my clipboard, so I'm going to right click and paste. There we go. And remember, backspace and the enter key along with the space bar really allow me to do just about any kind of editing that I need. If I wanted to put in what a PIN is, personal identification number, PIN, I could move to this spot, hit the space bar, and then parentheses, personal identification number. Notice that I just keep typing and the text wraps around. The only time that I should hit enter is at the end of a paragraph like this, and at this point then I could hit enter and then it would move to the next paragraph. Maybe that's going to be output. It may be processing. And sometimes you may want to put in your headings first. If you see something misspelled, you can point to it, click on it, right click the mouse, and it may give you a suggestion that will allow you to fix it. So let's change input to be underlined and bold and maybe italicized. So I'm going to select that text, and I'm going to click U for underline, B for bold, I for italics, and it does it to all of those. If I wanted to put that same format on these other items, another handy feature that I think is one of those essential sort of editing features is this format painter that you see up here. And so what I can do is I can select some text. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, it just needs to be something that's formatted. Click on Format Painter, and then I can select the other items that I want to actually change the format of, and it will automatically change that. So that's a pretty handy way to be able to take some format and move it to other places in your document. And again, you can always, even up at the top of your document, you can always move up to the very, top item, hit enter, and push items down to make more room. And you can always use the backspace and move stuff back. You may lose your format, but you can get that back by just selecting right center. All right, so let's say I wanted to bring in an image. That was the last thing I was going to do in this brief tutorial. We've looked at how to change the color, the size, the font, the style, and we're going to finish up here by looking at how to do the bring in an image from the web. And I want to put the image in, say, right here. So this is the spot where I want the picture, and maybe this is going to be my Bank of America ATM machine. And maybe I want to make this bigger. I'll select this, change the size, maybe make it 24, and I want my picture of an ATM to show right here. So I'm going to go out of Microsoft Word and go to Google, and I'm going to just type ATM machine, and then I'm going to click on images. I'm going to find a nice looking image of an ATM, maybe something that's got a white background that will look good on the white paper. This one looks pretty good. I'm going to select that image. I'm going to view the image. Oh, QuickTime. So here I've got the image, and once I've got the image that I want on the web, I'm going to right click on the image. Oh man, this is a let's pick a different one that's not going to be a QuickTime image. That was a cool looking ATM. What the heck? Well, that's kind of high. That's maybe a little higher resolution than we want. All right, and I'm going to, oops. I'll view the image. I don't know why QuickTime is. I think QuickTime has taken over my computer. Let's try one more. All right, so here we have a PNG file. You could do this with a JPEG or something. I'm going to right click. I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to go back to my word processing document, pick the spot, right click, and then paste. And then I can click on it, grab the corner, and then resize that image. Something that's going to look good for my document. All right, so there we go. We're getting a good start here. Again, to change the color of the text, I would select the text either with the keyboard or the mouse, and then I come over here, pick a color. All right, so that is just a basic walkthrough through some of the basic editing and formatting tricks and techniques that you might want to consider if you're getting started with word processing.